Hi everybody, I welcome you one and all for session 2. I am Dr. Ravi AM, Selection Lecturer in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Government Polytechnic, Haryana. Okay, just to recap what the things we are discussed in session 1. We discussed more on background of mechatronic system. There you understood how mechatronic system has been evolved from conventional to microprocessor control system, as well as you understood the block diagram of a mechatronic system, where you might have seen the components like a microprocessor, different memory devices, input devices, output devices, etc. As well as you understood the importance of mechatronic system. Also, you have seen some applications of mechatronic system, agricultural applications, aerospace applications, automobile applications, etc. and etc. With all these information, I think you are able to understand your subject very well, because you need to have some ideas before understanding the subject. Why actually you need to learn this subject? I think for this, maybe session 1 gives you a lot of inputs. The subject mechatronics mainly have 6 units. In the first unit, you are able to understand the definition of mechatronics, its applications, and what is system, different types of systems, and its examples, as well as you are understanding about the sensors and transducers definitions and its types and its specifications, and some of the sensors and transducers working. This unit gives you clear idea about the input devices which are being used in the mechatronic system. In the second unit, you are understanding about digital logics and the data presentation systems. Digital logic you already learned in your, I think, first or second semester, like AND gate, OR gate, etc. Here, once again, you are recap those digital logic gates and its applications. And these are all being used in encoders, decoders, and even other applications where logical systems are being developed. As well as you are understanding about the data presentation systems, we call these are all output devices of a mechatronic systems. In the third unit, you will be understanding about actuation system. The actuation systems are of servo motors, AC or DC motors, and some other actuation systems. Even it includes some of the mechanical components like bearings. In the fourth unit, it mainly deals with the system models and controllers. This is most important unit in your mechatronics subject. Why? Because you can see any system in the nature. To understand the system, mathematical models are must. Otherwise, you can just understand it, but you cannot express it. You cannot bring out it in the form of applying different applications. For that, you need to have a mathematical model. Example, mechanical system models, electrical system models, thermal system models, like this. The system is being represented in the form of a mathematical equation. That's where you can understand the system model. That's how even there are a number of mathematical equations even for mechatronic system which have been derived by different researchers. In the fifth chapter, you are understanding more of programmable logical controllers. Before that, you will be understanding about the microprocessor architecture. The different registers, memories are being used in the microprocessors, and different memory devices which are being used in the microprocessor, and next microcontroller, and then programmable logical controller. All three types are used at different applications based on the kind of work or a task are being going to be handled. PLCs are generally used in industry automations, whereas microcontrollers are being used as simple applications. I think you already seen in the session one slides. I have given one example in the slides, even PLC too. And in the last unit, it's actually communication and design of mechatronic system. Yes, after connecting all the component to the microprocessor, you should have a means to communicate from one device to another device. So, in this chapter, you are able to understand the different communication methodology which are being adopted so that you are able to communicate between different systems, even to remote control systems. In the design of mechatronic system, you will be understanding how to design a mechanical systems or automatic systems. So there are, I think, two or three examples are being given. I think those examples gives you a lot of ideas how to design a mechatronic system, and then how to select different sensors and transducers and even output devices and specifications of mechatronics system components. So these are the things you will be understanding in your mechatronics subject. Come to the detail of the first unit, where you will be understanding about the mechatronics definition and introduction, importance of mechatronics, and you will be understanding what is system and the different types of system, and finally you will be understanding of sensors and transducer, its definitions, types, applications, etc. In this session, we are discussing about a definition of mechatronics and its importance, and you will be understanding about the system and the types of systems, like measurement system and control systems. Well, once again, we are discussing the definition of mechatronics system. I already mentioned mechatronic system is a system which is being integrated with the different engineering disciplines. This system is being integrated. That's where you can understand the interdisciplinary approach to engineering design for an integration of mechanical, electrical, electronics, and computer engineering. This is where actually you can see the inside the shaped structure gives you idea of a mechatronic system, and it uses the concepts of all the engineering disciplines. That's how a mechatronic system, it's an integration of a different discipline. It made use of all the concepts of different disciplines to perform different functionalities. Look at this simple example where you can understand mechatronic system. This is actually a smoke detector. The smoke detector is a microprocessor based one. So there are number of sensors being actually kept at different places, maybe either in the building or maybe in the room. So and you can see a output device like a siren or a horn and even a light indicator. So whenever a sensor detects the smoke, it sends a signal to the microprocessor. The microprocessor receives that signal and it executes that information, and immediately, based on the kind of smoke it detected and other parameters, it gives the signal to the alarming device or even indicator lighting device. So that's how actually people can alert from this, the inside the smoke. Okay, this is one a simple mechatronic system which detects the smoke. This is another example where actually you can see the functions of a mechatronic system. There are series of robotic system you see. These all looks like ants. and the vehicle chassis is moving on the conveyor system on which different operations are going to be made, and even it includes assembly, welding, drilling operations, fastening, and even different assembly of different components, and etc. and etc. Even it includes even paintings. There are number of robots which are being brought nearby these conveyor system to perform different operation. This is a wonderful example of a mechatronic system in the auto industries. Yeah, you look at this. This another example where you can see a production component it moved on the conveyor on which different equipments or machineries perform different tasks. There is an automatic conveyor system on which the metal is going to be moved, either it's in the semi state or a finished state or in the raw state. This is another automobile industry scenario where painting is being done with the help of these robot systems. Chassis is moved on the conveyor system, and you can see number of robots which are being brought nearby the conveyor system to perform different tasks. So with these examples, you are able to understand the importance of mechatronic system. Definitely, it makes the system highly controllable. Definitely. So even in case of a conventional types, human brain is a controllable unit, whereas in this case, a microprocessor is a controllable unit. If a human being brain, if it is in the stable state, he so that he can perform a good task. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Whereas in the mechatronic system, no such hiccups that you can expect, since microprocessor will take care of perform operations of the output devices. Definitely, it's in a controllable state. Secondly, it makes the system more reliable. Yes, definitely, because the components which are being manufactured by these mechatronics are of a more reliable one. Even if you are used for a longer period of time, because so in mechatronic system the tolerance or dimensions are dealt in terms of microns. So definitely the precision components definitely gives very accurate results. That's where can check out its reliability. It makes the system most flexible. Is a robo or a conveyor system which are being used in the industry can be used for or can be used for performing a different of manufacturing of different products. That means so you will have lot flexibility. That means if a industry is introducing a mechatronic system, because most of the equipments and machineries are controlled by a microprocessor, so that just by changing the programs and just by changing some of the hardware, you are able to use a different mechatronic system products, sorry, equipments and machineries to develop different components whenever a design changes. That's how this system is the most flexible one. And the system is more cheaper. So in the especially the mechatronic systems looks costlier in the erection state. Once if it is being erected, then it actually produces series of components. So definitely mass the production rate is very high, and it produces very high quality products with very less scrap and all. Definitely the products are actually cheaper. Achievement of good quality in a lesser cost in manufacturing, definitely. So because we are dealing in microns, definitely you can expect a very good quality. So when you have more quality of products means, and you can expect there is less scope for what do you call that scrap. When you have less scrap means, definitely you can say it's an ordered advantage for the manufacturer to quote the price at a lesser value. And next, it makes the system more versatile. Definitely, the system is actually more versatile to manufacture in different design products. Concurrent approach in the system rather than sequential approach. Here, especially in the mechatronics system, The system works concurrently. Maybe it uses a multi-threading concepts. That means it does the work parallelly instead of one after the other. That's where you can understand a sequential approach. Look at the basic mechatronic system units. So basically the mechatronic system consists of input devices, and you can see a correction unit, a microprocessor, and the processing unit and output device. This comes in one group. Sensors and transducers receive the input from the different physical parameters to be measured. Then it gives the output, either maybe the output may be in the form of analog or digital type. So there is a correction unit, it actually correct the signals. That means it actually correct the signal. Suppose if a sensor output is if it's analog form, this has to be converted into digital form. Why? Because microprocessor have certain standard in which it does work. It has a higher range of specification like a word length and even its speed and what you call the type of system which is actually handling, it's a digital type. So in that matter, so whatever the information coming from the sensor, if it is of analog type, it has to be converted into digital type. Further, they use a correction unit. The analog to digital converter is the one which converts analog signal to digital signal. Like this, you can see a different correction units like an amplifier. It amplifies the signals, either it improves or it maybe it decreases the amplification value. Like a digital to analog converter, filters. Filters are the one which actually filters the unwanted signals which are coming along with the sensory devices. So like this, a correction unit correct the output of a sensory devices and gives that output to the microprocessor. Microprocessor has external memory device, and even inside a microprocessor you can see arithmetical and logical unit and control unit. Generally, the microprocessors do not have a huge memory. For that, it uses external memory. So even microprocessor has a number of registers, or you can call it as a memory device. These registers are being used to process the informations. So what actually happens whenever the information coming from the correction unit, it will be stored in the registers. So the register sends that signal to the arithmetical and logical unit. Then it is going to be processed or executed. The output will be again moved to the processing unit. So these activities of the microprocessor is being controlled by control it. I think you can see in your head, brain is the one which actually controls the entire human body functionalities. So this how the processor does it receives the information from the input device and it sends the information to the output device or sends the signal to the output device. The processing unit actually process this information and it sent to the different output devices like drives, or it may be a networking systems, or even it may be a memory device or a display unit, etc. Likes. Okay, these are some of the basic devices that you can see in any of the mechatronic systems. So now you try to understand the body system. A system may be looks like a box and it has input and output. Look at this. It is a rectangular box connected by input and output. So like this, you can call this system like a motor system, thermomotor system, engine system, turbine system, etc. etc. Why we call as a system means any system, any device or any system which converts input to output, so definitely we call that one as a system. So in that respect, it's been called as a rectangular box and connected by input and output. You see here, motor is a one system. It receives electrical power, it converts that electrical power into mechanical power. That's how this motor is being called as a system. That's how we can understand a system may be a box which has an input and output. System is it should be input as well as output. Like this, you can see a thermometer. Thermometer, it actually senses the temperature. Definitely, this temperature becomes input to the thermometer. Based on this temperature, it gives the results in the form of a display. Okay, that's how thermometer is also a one kind of a system which senses the value and it displays that in the form of numbers on the scale. There are two types of systems: measurement system and control system. In a measurement system, these systems are being used to measure the different physical quantity that are going to be measured, like voltage, current, pressure, force, torque, electric power, etc. etc. There are thousands together parameters which are going to be measured in the nature. For that, these systems are actually very much useful. You can see that you can check out the light intensity, you can check out the smoke or chemical compounds, you can check out the temperature, you can check out that intensity of heat. Like this, there are number of measuring devices which are available in the recent times. And you might have seen even you can check out the blood pressure, you can check out the sugar value of blood value, sugar value in the blood, etc. So like these measurement systems are actually very handy in these days. These measurement system consists of once again similar block diagram: sensors, signal conditioning device, microprocessor, and output device. Look at this. Suppose if a sensor receives the input, suppose if the input is actually analog form, then it has to be converted into digital form with the help of analog to digital converter. Then it's going to be fed to the output device so that output device shows that number. That's how a measurement system should have a sensor, what we call sensory device, we call as an input device, and there should be an output device, and these two are being actually connected by a microprocessor. Look at some of the examples of measurement system. The engine system, where petrochemical energy is being converted into mechanical rotations. In the second type, electrical motor, it receives electrical power and converted into rotational shaft. And thermometer, it senses the temperature and it displays in the form of number. All these are the best examples of measurement system. Like that, you can measure force, you can measure pressure, you can measure torque, you can measure voltage, you can measure current, etc. etc. The another type of system is actually a control system. The control system is slightly differ from a measurement system. In the control system, the system have control on the output. That is the specialty of this control system. You look at this very simple example. A furnace, a heating furnace have is been actually controlled with the help of what you call different sensors. So you need to set a temperature in the furnace and you need to switch on the power supply. So the furnace started to heat it up. The temperature inside the furnace is going to be measured with the help of a feedback device. A feedback device is once again a sensor or a transducer. So this system actually receives that feedback signal and it actually verifies with respect to the input device, that is the set value. When these two, the feedback signal and input signal or asset signal, both are same or both are, the difference of both are actually zero, then automatically the system switches off the power supply or cut off the power supply. So that's how whenever the room temperature inside the room is actually exceeds our set value, it's actually switched it off. If it is less than the room temperature value, then it automatically switches it on. Like this, furnace control system, generally this has been actually used in the foreign countries, European countries, where temperature normally it's in the single digits, where they use a furnace control system. If you look for the examples for this, yes, you look at this. In this this is also actually example for an open loop system, where you can see A open loop system receives the input and gives the output. Again, you can see in a heating unit where actually it receives the input and gives the output. A thermometer is another one example where actually it receives the input and gives the output. You see here, the input to this thermometer is actually analog signal, and the output coming from this is actually a digital type, because this thermometer uses a digital to analog converter, so that the sensing value or a signal is going to be converted to suitable form, so that so it displays digital numbers. This is an open loop system, because so whatever the temperature which is being displayed and displayed in it cannot be controlled. It simply senses and displays it. No control on the output device. Similarly, you can see some of the open loop systems where you can see a strain gauge measuring devices, and you can see a pressure measurement devices. So these devices are being used to measure the pressure, and it simply gives the output. So here there is no control on the output value. This is another open loop example where you can see in the beginning of a CNC machines. I already given a little idea about CNC machines. A computer numerically controlled systems is actually one example of a electronic system. The first machine that is being developed in microprocessor control system is actually NC machine. In the beginning of microprocessor controlled machine, the program is being fed to this control system, then it actually process that information, then it's sent to the different points of the machine tool. So, so here there is no feedback. That means the micro machine control unit do not have any control on the output. Whatever the information is actually sent to the output device, based on that it actually performs it. It won't check whether it's going to be done it or not. For example, if you have written a program to move that x-axis slide for 10 millimeter, the control unit actually execute that, then it sends the signal to that x-axis drive, then that drive starts rotating, so that the slide will be keep moving for value, so that we assume that one is reached 10, but we don't know whether it's going to be exactly 10 or not. Similar way, ECG systems are being used to check out the blood pressure or heartbeat of a heart. There are a number of sensors are being used. These sensors are actually touch sensors. It senses the information and it's sent to that analog to digital converter. Then it's now transferred to a display unit. The signals coming from these sensors are analog type, and these signals are going to be converted into digital form. So they use actually analog to digital converters to do so. So when you compare open loop system with advantages with the disadvantage, the open loop system is relatively very simple because there is no feedbacks. Definitely the components looks actually very simple, even the constructions, and generally they have good reliability. So how much of the time actually you keep using it, it gives you the reliable values. Maintenance is easy because no much electronic components and less chances of breakdown, because there are no much electronic devices which are being used to develop these kind of systems. The main disadvantage is since there is no feedback, you will not be sure of the accuracies, whether it's going to be precisely done that work or not. For that there is no feedback. So this is one major drawback of open loop system. So when you look for a closed system examples, this is the one already I explained it. So this is a furnace control system. It controls the temperature inside the room. So whenever the room temperature is below the set temperature, so naturally the system will going to switch on the power supply. So then the heater start heated up. Whenever it reaches the set value, automatically the system will switch on the power supply. So for that they use actually a feedback devices. These feedback devices keep sensing the temperature inside the room. This is another example for closed loop system where you can see a number of components. One is actually a comparator, amplifier, servo motor, cross light. See, this is the one system that is being used in most of the CNC systems. So here input are normally of prepared programs which are being fed to the comparator. Comparator it actually checks its signal value, then it actually amplifies, then the signals move to the servo motor. Servo motor starts functioning. So then it actually transmit the power to the crossline through different a mechanical device like ball screw rods. So whenever the crosslight starts moving, there are a number of displacement sensors which are being used to measure the displacement of this crosslight, and that is going to be checked with the help of feedback devices. And this feedback device check the displacement and it's going to be verified with the comparator. For example, as I already mentioned, if your CNC machine is being set for 10 millimeter in X direction, so the comparator sends a signal to that amplifier, then it moves to that servo motor, so cross light starts functioning. Whenever this cross light started to move, the feedback sensor senses that value and it will be verified in the comparator. Suppose if a cross line move for 1 millimeter, then 1 millimeter is compared with the input value that is 10 millimeter. When the difference of these two are we call as a error signal, then the amplifier will actually amplifies this error signal and it actually allows the servo motor to work further so that the cross light should reach exactly 10 value or 10 millimeter. So this is how feedback devices are being used to check the displacement of the cross light. So similarly, even the rotation of the servo motor is also being done. So with the help of air velocity sensors. So this is how both angular rotations as well as a linear movement of the system is being measured with the help of a different sensory devices. That's how a CNC system closely monitor the movement of the output devices. From that it's able to get the dimensions in terms of microns. Look at this one CNC system where the closed loop system is being adopted. There are number of sensors which are being used here. Those sensors senses the rotation of the check and movement of the cross light and movement of the tool, etc., rotation of the check and function of the coolant, etc., and etc. All these functions of the different device are going to be monitored with the help of different sensors and transducers. So this is how a CNC lathe can turn a very precision products. So normally the sensors are being used to monitor axis movements, tool positioning, tool magazine settings, coolant control, tool path tracing, and even for the rotations. So like this, number of sensors are being used to monitor the operations of this. Similarly, you can see another machine tool, CNC machine tool. That's a vertical machine center. This actually mimics your conventional drilling and milling machine. So here all three axis movements are going to be controlled as well as even that tool magazine rotations, tool positioning, tool rotations, and even coolant flow conditions. All the things are going to be monitored with the help of different sensors and transducers. This system also adopted a closed loop system to monitor the functionality of the machine tool. Okay, these are one example for a closed loop system. Look at, so this boring center. As you know already, boring operation is being done after drilling operation. Boring operation means it's actually enlarging of a hole. For this, even the CNC machines are actually most capable to enlarge the hole to a very high precision values. So here also, like other machining centers, the microprocessor controls the axis movement, tool positioning, tool magazine rotations, coolant flow, tool path traces, and its rotations. In the last example, where actually you can see a fire alarming unit. Suppose if at all if you wanted to control this fire hazardous, so the building or a room should have number of five sensing devices, or you can call it as a light sensors. And we can see actually a water line, and there are number of control valves. So whenever the sensor senses the fire intensity, it sends a signal to the microprocessor. Microprocessor execute those sensor in outputs. Then it sends a signal to the pump, as well as even it sends a signal to a different control valves, so that the pump is going to be switched on, and even control valves are going to be open, so that it extinguishes the fire. That's how. And even alarming is also been made here. Whenever the sensor senses the fire intensity, the microprocessor receives these signals, as well as even it indicates in the form of a display, or even it sends the signal to the alarm, so that it makes sound. So from that, the people can alert immediately. So look at this closed loop conveyor system, where the components are being moved on the conveyor. See, if at all, if any faulty components are being flown on this conveyor, are going to be detected with the help of a different sensory devices. So like even detection, there are number of actuators or even robots are being used to pick that faulty item. In the meantime, a different light sensors been used to check out the number of components, and even to check out the different dimensions, etc. etc. So all these things are made automatic, so that the process can be made in such a way that all the time we should get quality products. So come to the comparison of open loop and closed loop system. Open loop system do not have control on output systems, but whereas a closed loop system have a control on the output system. So open loop system do not use any feedback device, whereas in closed loop it uses a feedback device to sense the output value. Because of no feedback, the system looks very simple in construction, whereas closed loop is little complex. And when coming to the maintenance, this is very less maintenance, as well as so definitely will have more low maintenance cost. On the other hand, closed loop system it's little higher compared to open loop system in as maintenance concern. These are all some of the multiple choice questions. So you read out all these questions. You will have choices here. So you choose the correct one. All these questions are related to the topics which we have discussed so far. If at all, if you want, you can check out two different videos which deals mainly with the mechatronic system, as well as open loop and closed loop system. So I referred these books, as well as even Google links. To come up with the the conclusions. So just to glance what you have learned in this session. I hope you understood the definition of mechatronic system. You understood how new mechatronic system is, as well as you know the importance of mechatronic system. You understood what is system, what are its types, how measurement systems actually works, and its examples, and how control system works and its example. With these backgrounds, you are able to understand the selection of a automatic system, whether it should be a open loop type or closed loop type. Normally, if at all if you wanted to say the system is automatic, definitely it's of a closed loop system. Otherwise, you can't say it's an automatic type. If you have a closed loop system, so that you will get a more accurate products. That's how in most of the equipments which are being developed with these electronic systems, so have a closed loop system rather than open loop system. So thank you for your patient listening. So this is the team which developed a content for this session. Thank you very much.